Ciao, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we are going to be doing 4 incredible Mediterranean diet summertime snack ideas, recipes. I have 2 savory and 2 sweet, and these recipes are just so simple to make, such minimal ingredients, such minimal steps. So starting off with recipe number 1, we are going to be doing herb and cheese stuffed flatbreads. These flatbreads come together in minutes because it's just yogurt and flour combined together to make the dough. Roll it out, and then I did a very herby, cheesy stuffing because it called out to me. My neighbor brought over so much herbs. I couldn't even handle how many herbs she brought over, so I just used a bunch of herbs because it's summertime and herbs are crazy good right now. But there are so many variations of how you could stuff these flatbreads. Recipe number 2 is going to be a plum olive oil spice cake. I love olive oil cake. I have perfected what I think is the best olive oil cake, and so I love to show how many variations there can be. Plums are underrated. I think plums are one of the best stone fruit. Time to have a moment for the plum. So I highlighted plums in this delicious spice cake layered with cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and cardamom for a variety of spice and warmy, cozy goodness that complements that specific stone fruit so well. And the olive oil cake is tender, moist, has a beautiful little crumb to it. The almond flour and the almonds on top give it that nuttiness along with that fruity olive oil. It's a delicious snacking cake. For recipe number 3, I'm doing scarpaccia, which I love dearly. It's a great way to use zucchini. It is just super thinly sliced zucchini and onion in a flour cornmeal batter, baked very thin, so it's crispy yet has that delicious chewy zucchini bite. It has the nutty corn goodness and texture from that cornmeal. It's the perfect kind of snack. It's a great way to use up lots of summertime zucchini, and it's a great way to get a variety of micronutrients in your snack. And for the 4th and final recipe, stuffed dates. I've been doing them since like 2015. I have been stuffing dates and eating them like candy because they really are, specifically medjool dates. I wanted to level it up. Basic ways to stuff dates, whether it's just kind of like a nut butter or nuts or something on the inside and then you dip them in chocolate. I made a pistachio cream, a little bit overboard, but I thought it would be so fun because it's just a decadent way to enjoy dates. So I made that pistachio cream, stuffed the dates, coated them in chocolate, and they are the perfect candy, healthy, delightful bite. And you're getting that fruit from the dried dates. Dates are so caramely without adding any sugar to them, so they are a great option for dried fruit because we all deserve a treat. Every day you deserve a treat. There's no life without treating yourself. I try to pick something for everybody. As always in my videos, I try to keep it as balanced as possible, so I will give as many recommendations of substitutions for different types of ingredients depending on your preferences throughout the video. I'm so excited for all 4 of these recipes, and I hope you find at least one that you will hopefully be making in your own kitchen. So enough talking, and let's just hop in to recipe number 1. For recipe number 1, we are going to be starting off with the cheesy herb stuffed flatbreads. High in protein, so quick and easy to make, very minimal ingredients. So I'm gonna start out with the dough. You might have seen this a lot on social media. It's been quite viral the past few months. It's a 2-ingredient dough. It's self-rising flour, which I made my own. For every 1 cup of flour is 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then equal parts flour to Greek yogurt because you want that really thick texture. You want the very specific texture that is Greek yogurt. And I also recommend at least 2%, if not 5% / whole fat, because this is Caroline's channel. So what is she gonna say? She's gonna say that healthy fats are incredible for us. Fats found naturally found fat in dairy, so good for us. And I'm just gonna stir the flour and the yogurt until a dough is formed. Ideally, I would have a bigger bowl than this because I'm gonna make a mess. At first you're like, I don't know, Caroline, there's not enough liquid. I kind of want to add some water. Just be patient with it, and eventually a ball will form. Once you're kind of starting to get a really thick dough ball, it needs to be kneaded. I'm gonna go ahead and dump this out onto the counter. Now, a clean surface is ideal. You wanna knead it for just a little bit so it gets nice and smooth. So I'm just gonna knead it for about maybe a minute at most. The dough is seeming a little bit wet to me, so I'm gonna do a sprinkling of flour just to help with the sticking. So the dough is practically perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in the bowl. I'm giving the dough a couple minutes to rest. I made a super duper simple filling of a bunch of herbs. Like I said, my neighbor came over and gave me so many herbs. I was swimming in parsley and chives, and I actually had some really sad mint, and so I thought the 3 of those would go really well together. You can use your favorite herb. I also use dried oregano, some Aleppo pepper flakes for a spice, but you can use any kind of spice that you really like. And then that's really all, because I used lots of salty feta, and then to complement the feta and kind of give it a little bit more of a gooey, hopefully cheesy pull, I added in some melty cheese as well. You can use whatever your favorite melty cheese is. I used a Greek one just to kind of keep with the feta theme. Just grab what you have too much of in your garden. If you have leftover herbs from a recipe, like this is a perfect way to use any herbs that are just sitting in your fridge drawer that you're trying to use up. Combine it with a bunch of cheese. And if you are dairy free, you can definitely use coconut yogurt for the bread dough recipe, or like a very, very thick dairy free yogurt, the thickest one you can find. And then if you're dairy free and you don't want to use cheese, do like a herby filling. You could do a mashed like potato filling. You could do ground beef or like ground meat, any type of ground meat or ground tempeh or anything like that. Leftover sauteed veggies could go in the center, and you can just keep it plain. So possibilities are endless on what the filling you want to be. I know this is a very dairy forward recipe, but with almost all of my recipes, you can find it to be a dairy-free option. If you are gluten-free, just use gluten-free all-purpose flour and then add in the baking powder and the salt to help make this a gluten-free option. There's so many brands that carry amazing all-purpose flour that's gluten-free, so there's lots and lots of options for variations. Now that we have the filling prepared and we have the dough ready, I'm gonna dust the countertop a little bit more with flour. Perfect. So I have a really large skillet here, non-stick, perfect for this recipe. Put it over a pretty medium-high heat. So about a 7 or a 6. I have the dough ball. I'm just gonna portion off two or 3 tablespoons at a time. Make it a nice little circle. Yes, this is a little messy, but like, it can be really fun. It's such minimal ingredients. You can prep these, keep them in the fridge or the freezer, and just pop them in like a toaster oven. So I'm gonna take a rolling pin, flour my rolling pin, and make sure, oh yeah, it's already kind of sticking. Make sure it does not stick. Excuse me, get out of the way. And just try to roll it out as thin as possible. Keep a lot of flour on hand to prevent any sticking. Perfect. So we have a nice thinly rolled dough ball. I'm going to take with my messy hands about a tablespoon worth of the, what's it called? Cheese filling, the herby, cheesy feta filling. About, oh, that was probably 2 tablespoons worth for sure. Pack it into like a little bit of a perfect ball. It's time consuming in a way because you have to make each one by hand. And I understand that. So don't come for me and say, Caroline, this is actually really time consuming and you're horrible. What I'm saying is once they're done, they're so easy to enjoy. They freeze super duper well and they're not hard to make at all. So then I just take each side and wrap each side, and then you twist it and kind of make sure that the bottom is well secured. Press all the sides into each other. I'm doing a horrible job explaining this. Ta-da! Look how pretty she is. So what I kind of did on the back here is kind of just pinched everything together and kind of smushed it down. And now I'm just gonna take this delicious flatbread and pop it right onto the pan. And you can hear sizzle right away. So as each one cooks, I can prep the other one. So the last little step, I'm gonna put a sauce on them. I'm just adding way more herbs because I can never get enough. I so badly wanted to add lemon zest into this and into the filling, but I told myself, you just gotta do a few recipes without lemon for once in your life, Caroline. So if you like lemon zest, add it, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna drench all of the herbs, spices left over from the filling that I did earlier. I'm gonna put a bunch of olive oil and make an herb oil to go on top of these incredible flatbreads. Top 3 best things I have ever made in my life. Unreal, unreal. You guys, this is so simple. This is so high protein. You get so much protein and probiotics from the Greek yogurt. That flour is enough carbs and fiber and so satiating. And then the filling has so much protein from the cheese. The herbs give it such a refreshing flavor for how decadent of the filling is with all that feta and melty cheese. And then the oil on top just brings it home. The bread is cooked to perfection. Such minimal high quality ingredients, and you're getting so many micronutrients from all those herbs. Like, herbs are so underrated, so herby and cheesy, salty, oily, chewy. One of the best snacks I have ever made. I don't think I can put these down, but I have to move on to recipe number 2. For the second recipe, I have an incredible summertime cake. This is what I call a snacking cake. A snacking cake is a cake, but it's not so sweet or loaded with any frosting, so sugary and so desserty. It's such a well-balanced, delicious pastry that it could be a snack, it could be a breakfast. You can spice it up with like ice cream or whipped cream to make it a dessert. This second recipe for a delicious Mediterranean diet snack is an almond and plum spiced olive oil cake. I wanted to make an olive oil cake because I feel like I have all these random recipes for olive oil cake on my website, so I wanted to just test them all and just decide which is the best recipe for the most delicious olive oil cake, and I have created it. It is moist, it has the perfect amount of crumb to it. The olive oil, the ricotta, I love the balance of the flour with the almond meal, and then because I have almond meal, I love to always top it with flaked almonds. And so I have this beautiful base of an olive oil cake now in my repertoire. So there's so many ways you can do it. I did it last year with apples in the fall, but today I am doing it with these gorgeous summer plums. Stone fruit is so fabulous, and I feel like peaches and cherries are by far the most popular. Last year I talked about apricot, and I made a couple apricot recipes, and this year I wanted to bring out the gorgeous thing that is a plum. And so I did a simple just plum topping of beautiful thinly sliced plums, coated it with a little bit more sugar so it got a little bit more caramelized and sweet as it baked in the oven. And to complement the plums, I did a spice mix inside the olive oil cake of cardamom, ginger, cinnamon, and nutmeg. Really, stone fruit, what I love about it is it actually is kind of a middle summer, late summer fruit. So in preparation for the fall, which is closer than I'd like to believe, big time, because I'm not ready for the fall, I'm not ready to accept summer's over. But in preparation for the fall, this would be the most perfect late summer recipe as well, because it's with those cozy, warm spices. It's a great transition into fall, but when you're not ready for like apples yet and you're still in stone fruit world, this is the perfect thing. You don't have to do the spices. You could do lemon zest, orange zest. You rub the sugar with the citrus zest. You could even do lime. You could do like fresh herbs in this olive oil cake if you wanted to do like a rosemary olive oil cake or a mint olive oil cake. Honestly, I didn't bake it the right way, so I had to make 2 cakes for today. What I really needed was a big 9-inch springform pan because you spent so much time creating a gorgeous top. So I so delicately had to like flip these out of the cake tins and put them back on the wire rack to fully cool. But in a perfect world, you would just loosen with a knife the edges of the cake and then pop that spring form pan, and so that way you weren't having to like topple over the cake to get it out of the pan. So enough talking about it. It's time to taste this spiced olive oil cake with plums and almonds. It's scary how much the spices remind me of fall, but then you get that really, really fruity goodness, and it brings me right back to summer. The plums are so jammy on top. The way that the fruit just perfectly cooks with the cake, it turns into like a really jammy consistency, which this cake is perfect for jam. This cake is so moist, delicate, full of flavor. I cannot stop eating this cake. It is so incredible. Cake is never my favorite dessert because I always think cake is so dry and so lacking of flavor, and I fix those 2 very things. This with a big cup of tea or coffee, absolute perfection. For recipe number 3, we are going to be doing a scarpaccia, which is so easy. It's an Italian dish. Usually I take a traditional dish and like throw my own spin on it, but it's too good to do that, I guess. I have 3 very small, thinly sliced. You should use a mandolin. I'm too lazy. Technically kind of not too lazy because it takes more time to do it by hand. But anyways, I just do it by hand. But thinly sliced zucchini with half of a red onion, and I added salt and have set them out for about 2 hours with the weight. I used a paper towel roll holder as the weight, but just a little weight of something to kind of help smush them a little bit so they get nice and soft, and they release a lot of water because that zucchini water is gonna be what helps make the batter. And I'm just gonna give the zucchini a little bit of a squeeze to try to release any more extra water we could possibly get. So now that I have the zucchini with all of this water, everything else comes together so quickly, so easily. So I'm gonna turn on the oven to 350 and get it preheating. The batter just comes together in the bowl that you have the zucchini with all the water. And it's simply flour, which you could use all-purpose flour, you could use spelt, you could even maybe use oat flour, or all-purpose gluten-free flour. Cornmeal here, and then lots of rosemary. That's the herb that I really wanted to use. If you have oregano, if you want to use any of the other kind of more stronger woodsy herbs, so like oregano, thyme, rosemary, not like parsley or kind of the more leafy herb. I'm gonna go ahead and add the cornmeal. Next, the flour, and then you just need about a tablespoon of olive oil right on top. And lastly, I'm just gonna take about 1 sprig of rosemary. I like the flavor of rosemary, so I'm gonna keep it kind of big, kind of throughout. But if you wanna finely chop it, go right ahead. Other things, like I said, you could add the other herbs. If you wanted to add like garlic powder, if you wanted to do like a spice, like if you wanted to do chili spice or pepper flakes, that would be great. Black pepper if you wanted to. I just think the rosemary and the zucchini are enough flavors. Like, that is Mediterranean cooking, tasting the zucchini. Like, zucchini has the flavor, like, let's taste that. Long story short, I have everything we need in the bowl, and I'm just gonna give it a toss until it creates a nice batter. So I noticed that my zucchini must have been so small and not so liquidy that I need to add a little bit of water at a time. Every zucchini is different. The bigger the zucchini are, the way more water they are. I always pick the smallest zucchini possible because I feel like it has the most flavor. So if you have, like, let's say a really, really big zucchini, that would be absolutely perfect for this dish because there's so much water in a big zucchini. But I noticed that I had to add about a couple more tablespoons of water, and I'm still kind of getting a little bit of like gunkiness on my spoon. So that means I need to add a little bit more water. Okay, that's better. You're kind of hearing that liquidy sound. And this is where Mediterranean / nonna grandmother cooking can be frustrating, because this is turning into a very eyeball thing, which I know so many people get so mad at me when I'm not so exact on my measurements. You kind of just want like almost like a pancakey, thick pancakey batter, if that makes sense. That's kind of the texture we're looking for. You'll never know, like I said, what exactly the thickness you're gonna get off the start with just the water from the zucchini, because every zucchini will have a different amount of water in it. So I've kind of reached a very pancakey type batter. So I have my ugly 9x9 here, and I'm just gonna drench it in lots and lots of olive oil, spread it around with my hands. I want a crispy crust, so I definitely want it to be nice and oiled up. I'm gonna pour the scarpaccia batter into the pan. It's nice and well greased, and even it out, and then bake it off in the oven. The scarpaccia is out of the oven, has cooled down slightly, so I removed it from the pan, cut it all up. It has the most delicious golden brown crusty edges, cooked all the way through. It has a beautiful golden brown bottom. I have this really, really fond memory of going with my nonna when I was a child, and I'd always get a snack of a zucchini pizza a taglio, which is just like pizza by the cut in Rome. Like, they cut it for you, like however big of a slice you want. It's one of my favorite foods in the world. I'm going to try this delicious zucchini scarpaccia. È buono. The zucchini are nice and soft. There's still a bite to it. basically zucchini pancake, but with that nice nutty cornmeal texture. If you love zucchini, you have to try this. This is such a fantastic snack because you have those wholesome carbs, a delicious source of veggie goodness, and the flavor is incredible. It's so easy to make. You can freeze these. You could do a little foil around each one, pop them in the freezer, and then you pop them in the oven or like a toaster oven to kind of crisp it back up, and it is the perfect snack. I'm gonna finish my last piece and we're gonna move on to the fourth and final recipe. For the fourth recipe, I wanted to do something very decadent and a little tiny treat. So I have to have a little like bite of something sweet after lunch and a bite of something sweet after dinner. I'm really weird like that. So to start off with the filling, I made a pistachio cream filling. I wanted to make almost like a pistachio cannoli filling. So I used ricotta, mascarpone, which mascarpone isn't traditional, but I wanted that texture to be really thick and creamy. And then pistachio paste, which you can make your own. I still have so much left over of this incredible paste I got from Sicily. So the flavor is phenomenal. A little powdered sugar, vanilla, pinch of salt just to bring out all the flavors, and it's just such a simple and easy little cream mixture. You could use dairy-free coconut yogurt instead of like ricotta and mascarpone if you wanted to use like a dairy-free ricotta option. If you wanted to like do like maybe silken tofu and like pistachio, or like even soaked cashews. Honestly, I could make like 300 different types of stuffed dates. If you really like this concept of like a really fun stuffed decadent date, then please leave me a comment below. Majol dates are super duper caramely, and so they create like almost like a candy bar feeling, taste, texture. So the filling that I made for this fourth snack recipe is a pistachio cream to stuff the dates and coat them in chocolate. And you don't have to use pistachio. You can use almond butter. You could use peanut butter if you wanted to make it a peanut butter cream filling. So you open up the dates and remove the pits, and sometimes they have like a little stem to them as well, so watch out for that. If they are black, pitch them. You do not want a black date on the inside. That like black powder means they're moldy, they've gone bad. So just pitch them if you see any of that black powder on the inside. But you open them up, remove the pit, stuff them with that pistachio cream, give them about 10 minutes in the freezer to harden up so that the cream stays very solid when you go to dip it in the white chocolate, so you don't lose any of that cream in the white chocolate. Give it a couple turns in the white chocolate, place it on some parchment so that way it can kind of harden, be easy to remove, or wax paper works really well. Sprinkle with just a little bit of pistachios on top because I love crunch and texture, and then you just put them back in the freezer for like 10 minutes to get nice and hard, or in the fridge for about 20 minutes. I'm so excited. Oh, these look incredible. I saved these for last purposely because I knew I wanted to end my recipe video with eating this. I wanted this last like final sweet taste in my mouth. So I'm so excited to try these pistachio cream filled dates coated in chocolate. If you've never tried Majol dates, you have to try Majol dates. They literally taste like chewy caramel. I'll never be that person that says fruit is dessert. I'm not gonna say like, oh, just eat an apple for dessert. Like, no, let's be real here. Eat like chocolate for dessert, or eat whatever sweet thing you love for dessert. But with the decadence of the pistachio cream, the really rich, sweet white chocolate, crunch of the pistachios, these dates do truly taste like caramel. I'm not making that up. I would like not lie to you guys about that. Wow. That is the best way I could have finished this video. I really hope you enjoyed this recipe video. I hope you got something out of it, whether it's a new ingredient to try, a new way of cooking, a new idea. Just hopefully these recipes give you some ideas to get in the kitchen, to try some things, to make some healthy snacks. Please let me know in the comments below what was your favorite recipe of all four. Which one are you most excited to try, or at least take inspiration from? Which one just looked the best to you, or what would you change in any of these recipes to make them your own? I love to hear your variations, your ideas, because you guys have incredible ideas all the time. And please, if you have any questions on the modern Mediterranean lifestyle, the Mediterranean diet, or just anything in general when it comes to those kind of topics, I'm here. I love talking to you guys in the comments. It makes my day to read your comments. It's my favorite thing in the whole entire world, is getting to respond to your guys' comments. It brings me so much zest and joy. I love it so, so much. So please leave a comment on anything. If you have any questions, any suggestions for future recipe videos or just videos in general. I love hearing your feedback. I do this for you. So I love to hear what you want, what you are looking for, and all that kind of thing. So anyways, once again, thank you so much for watching. I really, really hope you enjoyed these recipes and got something out of this video. And until next time, I hope you create a very, very zestful day. Ciao.